Respected audience, Assalamu alaikum. I am Professor Shamjid Jaman, Professor of Pathology. Today I welcome all in 27th lecture on pathology. Today, day 1 of thrombus and thrombosis. Now come to thrombus and thrombosis. First come to what is thrombus. Intravascular solid or semi-solid mass. Intravascular solid or semi-solid mass formed by constituent of blood in an uninterrupted cardiovascular system. Is called thrombus. Again, intravascular solid or semi-solid mass formed by constituent of blood in an uninterrupted cardiovascular system is called thrombus, and the phenomenon or formation of thrombus is called thrombosis. Dear audience, suppose this is heart. Heart pumps and blood comes out, and it circulates throughout the body, and ultimately blood comes to the heart, then goes to lung, and it circulates. So heart pumps blood and it is circulated throughout the vascular system, and this is the uninterrupted cardiovascular system. That is, in the uninterrupted cardiovascular system, blood is in streaming. If blood clots in the streaming blood, then it is called thrombus. So thrombus is nothing but blood clot in streaming blood. Dear audience, suppose this is a test tube, this is a glass slide. If we take certain amount of blood here within the test tube and one drop of blood in the glass slide, you know this blood will clot, it clots, and it also clots. This blood on the glass slide and the blood in the test tube is not in streaming, it is non-streaming blood. So these two bloods are non-streaming. This non-streaming blood is clotted. Again, if we consider the blood of a dead body, within the dead body, the blood is non-streaming. So the non-streaming blood in dead body undergo clots. So if clot in the streaming blood, it is called thrombus. But if there is clot in the non-streaming blood, it is clot. constituents of blood associated with thrombus. One is platelet, another is coagulation factors. These are the blood constituents associated with formation of thrombus. Now come to why thrombosis does not occur in normal physiological condition. Why thrombosis does not occur in physiological condition? Number one cause, balanced role of endothelium. What is the balanced role of endothelium? This is the balanced thrombotic and antithrombotic activity of endothelium. That is balanced thrombotic and antithrombotic activity of endothelium. Suppose this is blood vessel, the lining endothelium. The endothelium or blood vessel secretes, endothelium secretes what it secretes. Endothelium secretes procoagulant and also anticoagulant. This secretion of procoagulant and anticoagulant by endothelium is balanced, so there is no formation of thrombus. Number two, continuous flow of blood. Continuous flow of blood. Dear audience, you know heart pumps and blood comes out of the heart and blood flows. Due to continuous flow of blood, there is no chance of development of thrombus. Why? What happens in continuous flowing of blood? Due to continuous flow of blood, number one, prevention of platelet aggregation. As blood continuous is flowing in the vascular system, so there is less chance or no chance of platelet aggregation. If there is no platelet aggregation, there will be no thrombus formation. Again, due to continuous flow of blood, dilution of clotting factors. As there is dilution of coagulation factors, less chance or no chance of development of thrombus. Another one, due to continuous flow of blood, blood brings anticoagulation factor. So as blood brings anticoagulation factors, there is no chance or less chance of development of thrombus. One is balanced role of endothelium, that is balanced thrombotic and antithrombotic activity. Number two, continuous flow of blood. Number three, presence of heparin, naturally occurring anticoagulant. So, due to balanced thrombotic and antithrombotic activity of endothelium, continuous flow of blood, and presence of naturally occurring anticoagulant heparin, usually there is no thrombus formation in physiological condition. Now come to, if thrombus is formed or developed in the cardiovascular system, why it develops? We know varicose striate is associated with thrombosis. It associated with dear audience, you know Varco is a big scientist. Scientist Vargo told three factors or three things associated with thrombosis, and this is called varicose striate. What are those? Endothelial injury, number 2, changes in blood flow, and number 3, hypercoagulability of blood. So, if there is endothelial injury, changes in blood flow, and hypercoagulability of blood, these are associated with thrombosis. These are associated with thrombus formation. Endothelial injury. What are the different causes of endothelial injury? Suppose this is the blood vessel, endothelial lining. How these endothelial may be injured? Number 1, direct endothelial injury. Direct endothelial injury, it may be following trauma, it may be due to vasculitis. Dear audience, you know inflammation of blood vessel is called vasculitis. Vasculitis is associated with endothelial injury. Number 2, myocardial infarction. Respected audience, you know in myocardial infarction, myocardium undergo necrosis due to ischemia. So myocardial infarction is an ischemic necrosis. If there is necrosis of the myocardium, endocardium is also involved. So there is endothelial injury in the endocardium in myocardial infarction. Bacterial toxin. Bacterial toxin can cause endothelial injury directly. Hyperlipidemia. Dear audience, you know hyperlipidemia is associated with formation of atheroma in the blood vessels. And if anybody suffers from atheroma, there is a chance of endothelial injury. Products of smoke. Product of cigarette smokes like nicotine. Nicotine can cause endothelial injury directly. Snake venom. Snake venom can cause direct endothelial injury. Now come to changes in blood flow. The normal blood flow is changed. What happens? there is turbulence of blood flow. There will be turbulence of blood flow. Turbulence of blood flow. So blood flow is changed and becomes turbulence. What are the causes of changes in blood flow, or what are the causes of turbulence of blood flow? It may be following atherosclerosis, dear audience, you know atherosclerosis is one of the arteriosclerosis. Atherosclerosis means there is formation of atheroma, that is formation of fibrofatty plaque in subintima of blood vessels, and this is called atheroma, and atheroma is found in atherosclerosis. If this is blood vessel, this is the wall of blood vessel. If this is the lining endothelium, like this, and if this is the intima, in the subintima there is formation of atheroma, formation of fibrofatty plaque. This is the atheroma. So this is the atheroma, and covering this atheroma there is endothelial lining. So this is an atheroma. It is fibrofatty plaque. If anybody suffers from atherosclerosis, if blood flows like this, there will be changes in blood flow, there will be turbulence of blood flow in atherosclerosis. Number 2, myocardial infarction. Dear audience, I have told you myocardial infarction means there is ischemic necrosis in the myocardium. If there is ischemic necrosis in the myocardium, heart becomes weak and heart cannot pump properly. As heart cannot pump properly, there will be changes in blood flow. Another is aneurysm. What is aneurysm? Abnormal dilatation of artery is called aneurysm. Suppose this is an artery, blood flowing like this. If there is aneurysm, by definition there will be abnormal dilatation like this, and blood flows like this, and there will be stresses of blood in this dilated part. So there will be changes in blood flow in aneurysm. What are other causes of turbulence of blood flow or changes in blood flow? Other causes is mitral stenosis. Dear audience, you know in mitral stenosis, due to narrowing of heart valve orifice, there will be changes in blood flow or alteration in blood flow. There will be jet blood flow. Hyper viscosity of blood. Dear audience, you know blood has normal viscosity. If the viscosity is increased, what will happen? There will be sluggish blood flow, and sluggish blood flow is nothing but alteration in blood flow. What are the causes of hyper viscosity of blood? Important causes. One is multiple myeloma. Your audience to know multiple myeloma is cancer of plasma cell that occurs multiply in osseous tissue. So it is a cancer of plasma cell, and it is one of the paraproteinemia. In multiple myeloma, there is formation of M protein. M protein is one of the paraprotein. Due to synthesis of paraprotein by the myeloma cells, the viscosity of blood is increased. Another is polycythemia. Respected audience, you know polycythemia means increased number of RBC, WBC and platelet in the blood. It is called polycythemia. If anybody suffers from polycythemia, due to increased number of all formed elements, the viscosity of blood is increased. So one is endothelial injury. Number 2, alteration in blood flow, that is turbulence of blood flow. Number 3, hypercoagulability of blood. First come to the types of hypercoagulability of blood. 2 types. One is primary hypercoagulability. And another is secondary hypercoagulability. If the cause of hypercoagulability of blood is not known, this is called primary hypercoagulability. Again, if we cannot detect what is the cause of hypercoagulability of blood, this is primary hypercoagulability. But if we can detect the cause of hypercoagulability, it is called secondary hypercoagulability. Now come to secondary hypercoagulability. What are the causes where there is hypercoagulability of blood? Prolonged bed rest, or immobilization. So prolonged bed rest or immobilization is associated with hypercoagulability of blood. Dear audience, if there is immobilization, what will happen? There will be changes in continuous blood flow. So there will be hypercoagulability of blood. Myocardial infarction. Tissue injury, as in big surgery, as in burn. These are associated with hypercoagulability of blood. Other cause of hypercoagulability of blood is smoking and oral contraceptives, use of oral contraceptives. So these are the causes of secondary hypercoagulability. I've told you about the varicose stripe, endothelial injury, turbulence of blood flow, and hypercoagulability of blood. Now come to types of thrombus. According to site of formation, thrombus may be venous thrombus. When thrombus is formed in the vein, it is called venous thrombus. What are the common veins where thrombosis occurs commonly? Deep cup vein, popliteal vein, femoral vein. These are the common veins where thrombosis is formed. then arterial thrombus, for the common arteries where thrombus may be formed, cerebral artery, coronary artery. So, according to site of formation, venous thrombus, arterial thrombus, and cardiac thrombus. In cardiac thrombus, thrombus is formed in the heart chamber. As I have told you, if anybody suffers from myocardial infarction, there will be endothelial injury in the endocardium, and there will be alteration in blood flow, and there will be hypercoagulability of blood. Again, if anybody suffers from myocardial infarction, there will be changes in blood flow, there will be endothelial injury, and there will be hypercoagulability of blood. So there is a chance of development of thrombus within the cardiac chamber, and this is called cardiac thrombus. Now come to according to mode of formation. According to mode of formation, the thrombus may be mural thrombus, mural thrombus is formed in cardiac chamber or in blood vessels. Mural thrombus is formed in heart chamber or in blood vessels. Number 2, occlusive thrombus. Occlusive thrombus means the thrombus that can occlude the entire lumen of the vessel completely. Suppose this is the blood vessel. If a thrombus is formed, blood flowing like this, if a thrombus is formed like this is thrombus, then this is called occlusive thrombus. This is occlusive thrombus. Propagating thrombus. Propagating thrombus. What it means, suppose this is kidney and this is the vessel, blood vessel. Suppose there is formation of thrombus here, and if the thrombus after forming here propagates like this is called propagating thrombus. In case of propagating thrombus, there is a tail, and the tail may be fragmented. If the tail is fragmented like this fragmented part of this propagating thrombus circulates, and then it is known as thromboembolus. Coralline thrombus. The thrombus that looks like sea coral. Saddle thrombus. Saddle thrombus like this. Like this. Suppose this is the bifurcation of pulmonary trunk. This is bifurcation of pulmonary trunk. If a thrombus is formed here, this is called saddle thrombus. It is formed in bifurcation of pulmonary trunk. consecutive clot thrombus. Consecutive clot thrombus. Here it is. Suppose this is the vein and these are the tributaries. Suppose there is formation of thrombus here, T, formation of thrombus here, this is T, formation of thrombus here, this is T. All T are the thrombus. All T are the thrombus. You know, thrombus is formed in streaming blood. Suppose these are the thrombus formed in the streaming blood. So in between the two thrombus, the blood is non-streaming. In between these two thrombus, blood is non-streaming. Again, in between the two thrombus, blood is non-streaming. And in between these two thrombus, blood is non-streaming. So this non-streaming blood undergo clot. Non-streaming blood undergo clot. Non-streaming blood undergo clot. So one thrombus, another clot, one thrombus, another clot, one thrombus, another clot, one thrombus, another clot, another thrombus. This is called consecutive clot thrombus. So these are the different types of thrombus based on site of formation and based on mode of formation. Here it is. Now come to steps of thrombosis. That is steps of thrombogenesis. What are the steps of thrombogenesis? Endothelial injury, and exposure of subendothelial collagen. Then platelet adhesion, platelet plaque formation, endothelial injury and exposure of subendothelial collagen fiber, adhesion of platelet plaque formation, platelet fibrin plaque formation, and this platelet plaque is nothing but thrombus. Here it is. Suppose this is blood vessel. This is the lining endothelium. And suppose the tunica media, and this is the tunica adventitia. So tunica intima with endothelial lining, that is tunica media, and the red one is tunica adventitia. Suppose there is endothelial injury. This is the endothelial injury. First, there is endothelial injury. The first and foremost step is endothelial injury. Endothelial injury, exposure of subendothelial collagen fiber. So following endothelial injury, there is exposure of collagen fiber to blood, and blood is running like this. This is blood. Following endothelial injury, from the injured endothelium, there is release of von Willebrand factor. Dear audience, you know von Willebrand factor is a cofactor. It is released or secreted from the endothelium, from the platelet, and also from the megakaryocyte. So following endothelial injury, there is exposure of subendothelial collagen fiber and release of von Willebrand factor from the injured endothelium. Then this von Willebrand factor makes bridge between the collagen fiber and the circulating platelet. Von Willebrand factor released from injured endothelium makes bridge between collagen and circulating platelet. Suppose this is the von Willebrand factor, and this is the platelet. Black one is the platelet. How or why it makes bridge? Because platelet has GP1B receptor for von Willebrand factor. Due to presence of glycoprotein GP1B receptor on the platelet surface for this von Willebrand factor, so this factor makes bridge between the platelet and the collagen fiber, and this is called platelet adhesion. This is called platelet adhesion. After platelet adhesion, platelet undergo activation. Another step, after adhesion of platelet with collagen via von Willebrand factor. After addition of platelet with collagen via von Willebrand factor, activation of platelet. There is activation of platelet. Activated platelet secretes ADP and expresses GP2B3A receptor on its surface. Again, when platelet is activated after adhesion, the activated platelet secretes ADP and expresses GP2B3A receptor on its surface. So, if this is the activated platelet after adhesion, it secretes ADP and it expresses on its surface GP2A3B receptor. Suppose the red one is the receptor. This receptor binds with the fibrinogen. This is the fibrinogen. Again, due to presence of GP2A3B receptor on the activated platelet, this receptor binds with the fibrinogen, and this fibrinogen makes bridge between activated platelet and circulating platelets. Again, this GP2A3B receptor binds with the fibrinogen, and this fibrinogen makes bridge with the circulating non-activated platelets. So there is bridging of this activated platelet with the non-activated platelet with the help of fibrinogen, and formation of platelet plaque. Formation of platelet plaque following platelet aggregation. When there is formation of platelet plaque, the von Willer factor helps in activation of intrinsic pathway of coagulation. After formation of platelet aggregation or after formation of platelet plaque, the von Willer factor helps in activation of intrinsic pathway of coagulation system or intrinsic pathway of coagulation cascade. How? Dear audience, you know von Willer factor has an important role. It binds with the factor 8 and stabilizes the factor 8. It stabilizes the factor 8. When the von Willer factor binds with the factor 8, the half-life of factor 8 is increased. So after formation of this platelet plaque, the von Willer factor that binds with the factor 8, and this factor that was associated in combination with the von Willer factor, this factor 8 along with this von Willer factor activates the factor 10. So factor 8 that was in combination with the von Willer factor activates factor 10 in this situation. After activation of factor 10 with the help of factor 8, there is conversion of fibrinogen to fibrin. conversion of fibrinogen to fibrin. When there is conversion of fibrinogen to fibrin, this fibrin plus platelet forms platelet fibrin plaque, forms platelet fibrin plaque, and this plaque is nothing but thrombus. This plaque is nothing but thrombus. So these are the steps of thrombosis. Again we recall, after endothelial injury, exposure of collagen fiber and release of von Willebrand factor from the injured endothelium. This von Willebrand factor makes bridge between the collagen and the platelet, circulating platelet, and this is called adhesion of platelet, because the platelet has receptor GP1B for the von Willebrand factor. After adhesion of platelet, platelet is activated, and the activated platelet secretes ADP and expresses on its surface GP2A3B receptor. Due to this receptor, there is binding of fibrinogen with the activated platelet, and this fibrinogen makes bridge between the activated platelet and non-activated platelet, and there is formation of platelet aggregation, and platelet aggregation makes the platelet plaque. After formation of platelet plaque, the intrinsic pathway of coagulation system is activated. How? The factor 8 that was along with the von Willebrand factor, this factor 8 activates the factor 10, and there is conversion of fibrinogen to fibrin, and ultimately formation of platelet fibrin plaque, and platelet fibrin plaque is nothing but thrombus. This is all about the thrombosis today. In the next class, the fate of thrombus and DVT will be discussed. Dear audience, today after this, thanks all.